Hi, I'm Harry J. Elam Jr. I'm the Freeman Thornton Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education at Stanford University, and I'm the recipient of the Career Achievement Award in Higher Education. What I'm most proud of is my graduate students. And the graduate students, I had a great mentor who helped me get my first job, and so I always felt it was important to help graduate students not only become employed, but also to help them to see their progress through. That's been the thing that I'm proudest of, to see now I'm so old that they not only have jobs that they're tenured or moving on from there to being full professors. So the job market's gotten tougher and tighter. And so it can be somewhat daunting to think that where am I going to end up, but to believe that you will get a job. And so that's number one, to not be discouraged. Two, I would say that to really get a sense of where your main priority is, to think about where, I mean, do you want to be at a research university, or would you rather be at a smaller school? Do you want to be at a state school? Is your mission, what your mission as an academic is? And sometimes that first job isn't going to get you there to where you want to be, but it can be a way to lead you there. Three, I'd think about the task for anyone in the profession is sort of embracing the word scholar. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, what do you do for a living? I'm a scholar. And where do you want to be a scholar? So that idea of embracing the word, and sometimes things don't work out the way you might expect. For example, things aren't published that you thought would be, and journals come back with rejections, but not to give up and to think constantly about what that word means for yourself to embrace and to live out the life of a scholar. And finally, I would say remember what brought you here in the first place, and the desire and to study theater, your love of theater, your love of teaching perhaps as well, and directing. It's one of the few fields, I think, where you can bring that together, the idea of art, practice, as well as scholarship. I came into the field thinking at first it wasn't what I was going to do. I mean, I entered a program at UC Berkeley, and I always thought I was going to be a lawyer. So I thought I would just get a master's and then go back and be an entertainment lawyer. But what I found in graduate school was that I loved it. I loved teaching, I loved researching, and I loved researching about things that I had looked into earlier or performed earlier as a young kid growing up, Theater for Social Change. And so the plays that I had done and performed in high school and a little bit in college were plays that I eventually studied. So I came into the profession thinking that I wanted to do something different, but finding that there's no better thing to do, that I loved researching in and around Theater for Social Change, and I also loved helping and working with young students, and that all of that could come together in a career was great. So I've been at Stanford for 25 years, and when I first came there, everybody in the department, save for me, had written 2 books. And that sense of, it was a pressure, but it was a good pressure. And so that became the priority, getting published, getting the book finished, working hard to do that. So all of that had to fit into the piece, and I think as a graduate student in drama or theater arts or performance studies, you begin to learn that sense of balance and trying to balance and negotiate the fact that you've got to weigh which are the options you need to put the most emphasis in. So for me at first it was publishing. Later on, as things moved on, I became chair of the department and running the department, and the focus on the well-being of what it meant to all of my colleagues and the students within the program had to be my focus in terms of that. And finally, where I am now, I'm Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, and my mind is filled now about meetings and concerns about undergraduate education. So thinking about a scholarly article, the space in the mind isn't there in the same way, and that's the priority. So it's wonderful to be here at ATHA because I can shift that priority a bit and think about the great things that are happening in theater scholarship.